Okay, so today we're going to be having a bit of a look at goal setting. So firstly, to the group that are here, if you can pop in the chat, why do we set goals? What is it about goals that can be helpful in coaching? Throw some ideas at me. Because it's the first step, isn't it? When we look at the GROW model, we've got G, setting goals. Okay, Emma, direction. Yeah. So it gives us the direction of travel that the individual wants to go in. Gives that focus. Oh, Joe's just said that. Focus session. Yeah. We know what we're chatting about. This isn't just a big kind of ramble about everything. This is a focus that we're doing within coaching. Annie says, so we can see that we're on the right path. Yes, and what we're achieving. So we set a goal at the start, and then the idea is that we can measure progress. Absolutely. Helen says, to know what we're trying to achieve. Yeah, so we're being really specific. This is a thing that I want to be different. Actions, planning. Yeah, so we're being clear. Again, once we've got the action, once we've got the thing that we want to do, then we can start to fill in those plans. So let's see what I put on my slides. So focus our attention, that's what we said. Define what we want to be different, enable us to measure progress, gives us clarity, and achieving goals builds our confidence. So this general thing that when we set goals and achieve them, then we're like, oh yeah, brilliant. I've got self-efficacy. I've got this thing that means that I can make changes. Looking at the theory, so Locke and Latham's goal setting theory is the kind of the gold standard. It's the one that's been around for a long time, and that it's had challenge, absolutely, but it's the one that we think about when we think about goal setting. And if you think about things like SMART goals, they're set on they're based on Locke and Latham's goal setting theory. So they talked about these particular things, and you know, you'll notice how this comes up in the way that we set goals. So clarity. So they say that we need to be really specific about our goals, not a general, oh yeah, I don't know why my mind goes straight to weight loss, but not a general, I want to lose weight, but being really specific. I want to lose, a stone. Challenge. So what we're looking for is a comfortable stretch. If we set a goal that is too easy, it's not going to motivate us. If it's too hard, we're going to give up probably. So we're looking for a goal that gives us a bit of challenge, but it's a comfortable stretch. It's not stretching us too far. Commitment. So they talk about a commitment to a goal being really important. And so thinking about how we're going to stay accountable. And this is where coaching can be really, really helpful, because, we provide that accountability for someone. They know they're coming back to chat to us. So we get that commitment. But I think checking out that commitment with them, that we've got that question, haven't we, of how committed are you to this goal, just to check in that someone is really committed to do it. Feedback is really important. So again, and this is where the chunking down of goals can be really helpful. So we set a big goal, I want to run a marathon, but actually we chunk it down and we get feedback. Okay, right, well, first thing I need to do is I need to do my couch to 5K. I want to achieve my 5K. Okay, tick. How did that go? And then I'm moving on and building on top of it. So getting feedback is really, really important, having that feedback loop. And then complexity. So this is a really interesting one, which is about if the goal is quite complex and there's lots of different elements to it, and particularly if it involves learning, they talk about giving yourself space to learn before you start really getting into that measurement and milestone place. So taking running as an example, for someone that was starting, from the couch, it would be, first I'm going to walk for a bit and run for a bit, and I'm going to learn some of the skills around running. I'm going to build a bit of a foundation in it before I start pushing myself into long distance. So they talk about, you know, understanding that complexity. So if someone was starting a new job and they were like, oh, I really want to, I don't know, feel like I'm, you know, competent in the role, in the, you know, in a month's time, you might talk to them about, okay, so actually when feels realistic, making sure that you're giving yourself the time that you need to learn the stuff before getting into that. Okay, the downside of goal setting. Again, in the chat, what means that goal setting can get a negative rap? What's not so great about goal setting?
You want us to put it in the chat, sorry, or say?
Yeah, you could say, Annie.
Well, I was just going to say the downside of goal setting is some people set unachievable goals, or, you know, something that's unrealistic.
Yeah. So sometimes we do set goals that are too much of a stretch. And somebody just put in the chat, Emma, yeah, disappointment if not met. So sometimes that not meeting is about us overstretching ourselves. So I've got a friend, oh dear. So I ran a half marathon last Sunday. And one of the friends that I ran it with, she afterwards signed up. Well, she got drunk, to be fair. And she's now signed up for a 50 miler. So 4 times the distance that we did in September. So sometimes we bring it on ourselves, and sometimes circumstances outside of our control mean that we don't reach those goals. So yeah, so you can experience disappointment. Yes, Joe, it can also be overwhelming, particularly what we tend to do as well. We don't just set one goal at a time. We're setting lots of different goals in lots of different areas. And so it can be a bit overwhelming, and also it can feel a big pressure. So again, one of the girls that from my running club that was running the same half marathon, she's training for London Marathon, ran the half marathon, and then last week was it's just finding the training schedule so overwhelming, as well as her job, that it's just like, you know, is it worth it? Why am I doing this to myself? So yeah, it can be overwhelming. And if goals not realized, it can be demotivating. Absolutely. So they can really motivate you and focus the mind, but they can also demotivate you. Here are some of the other things. If we get too specific, we can lose the complexity, can really narrow in our focus, and potentially miss opportunities. And I'm sure you've seen this, you know, people can be like that about careers. You know, this is exactly what I want to do. And they can become so narrow in their focus that they don't see some of the different things, so the opportunities that come up to do something different. We can lose sight of enjoying the journey. So we can get very, very focused on, I've got to get this thing done. And so at the moment I'm writing a book, and I really love the process of writing. I can also see how you can get into a place of being like, oh God, I've got to write my book today. And you lose the love of it, because you're like, I have to do it, rather than like, I'm choosing to do it. Talked about this, setting unrealistic goals and becoming demotivated. And again, if we don't reach the goal, we can miss the progress that we've made. So, you know, if I hadn't, I really want to give up at the end of that half marathon, the last 5K. If I had stopped and gone, actually, do you know what? Or if I'd injured myself, it would have been very easy to focus on, I failed, and to miss. But Hazel, this is amazing. You've already run a half marathon in practice. So, and you know, you've done all this training, and it's amazing, and you're so much healthier than you were before. But we can miss all of that because we become so fixated that the goal is the thing that we have to tick off. What we want can change. And this is really important. And this is one of the reasons why, well, it's related to one of the reasons why performance reviews again get a bad rap, because goals change over time. The thing that we are interested in, the thing that we want, the thing that our organization wants, things change over time. So really checking in, adjusting your goals, and revising them depending on what's going on is really important, because life happens, we grow. So yeah, particularly those long-term goals, it really means that we need to check in with them regularly. Oh, we can get into an everything will be better when place. So if only I can get to this point, then, or when I get to this point, then, I'm going to enjoy life. I just need to be head down, get this thing done, and we can just keep putting off living because we become so focused on, I've just got to get to that point. And yeah, this happens to marathon runners quite a lot. So we reach a goal, you get a drop in motivation, in the sense of, I've been working for this thing for a long time. And I know the same, in career, in education, you've worked so hard. This goal was so important to you. You thought you're going to feel great when you got this goal. It's, woohoo, I finally got that job that I always wanted. And then, boom, that motivation drops. You've lost that clarity. You've lost the thing that you were working towards. And suddenly it can be like, oh, is this it? Thought I was going to feel something more than this. And then people can go looking for another goal in order to get back that sense of, I'm working towards something. And I'm feeling like you need a goal to motivate you. Having said that, I do think that goals can be helpful. There are two particular types of goals that I use in my work in particular. So that I use acceptance and commitment therapy within my approach. And the type of goal setting that we use a lot is called behavioral goal setting. So often you'll know this, when you talk to someone, you say, what do you want to be different? And they will say, I just want to, I don't know, feel more relaxed, or I want to be more confident. We talk about things that are very subjective. They change over time and they're quite difficult to measure. So that a feeling about something. And so what ACT says is, what's more helpful is to really understand what the behavioral goal is. So I sound a bit creepy when I ask this question, but I say, like, if I was following you around with my phone, recording you, after our sessions have finished, what is it that I would capture that was different to now? And that's when you really start to get, what is it that's going to be tangibly different? A feeling's one thing, yeah, and a feeling can be great, but what we're more interested in is the behavioral change. So what's going to be different about your behavior? So if I'm talking to someone and they've said, I really want to feel more confident, I don't dismiss that goal. I still capture it. But then I'll say to them, okay, well, what's going to be look and feel different? I mean, look and sound different because you feel more confident. So what is it that you're going to be doing differently because of that? And those are the things that I capture. And then when we come back at the end of the coaching, we can look at, okay, so how many times have you been speaking up in meetings, or sharing new ideas, and it's much, much more easier to be able to help someone to see the progress that they've made. Does that make sense? Okay. The other thing, obviously, as you know, if you know me, I love values. So values-based goal setting, again, can be really helpful. So whereas goals being A to B, values are direction of travel. So what I like to help clients do is to discover their values and then work out the goals within those. So how they get to live a more values-based life. So tend to, in my goal setting, do a mixture of these behavioral goal setting based on what it is that person wants to be different. And then when we get into the values conversation, we'll be looking at, okay, what are those actions that you can take that's going to bring those values more to life for you. So that's just a brief overview of goal setting to start some thoughts and discussion.